Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. So we are going to be discussing the latest oil spill here on American soil, and it is not the first time that this company has been in the headline, guys. They have subsidiary companies, Bridger Pipeline. So one of the things we need to understand is this is not the first time they've had issues, and it's usually because they're ignoring regulations. So they just walked away with a $3 million fine. $3 million for contaminating water sources and the land around it and destroying ecosystems with their spills. That doesn't sound like they're going to learn their lesson to me when you figure they're making hundreds of billions off of this, guys. So here's our headline. And this isn't the first time that they've been in the headlines. So here a few years ago, they actually had a pipeline that ran under the Yellowstone River, and this thing was leaking, and it leaked it out. A projected, and this is on a minimal side, all right, projected 50,000 gallons of fuel down into the Yellowstone River. So they ended up getting fined $3 million, and apparently they had ignored some regulations and some warnings that the federal inspectors had given them prior to that leak happening. So it's a company that just doesn't care that it's going to contaminate our water source. We're having droughts around the world. We're having droughts in our own country, and you have these irresponsible oil companies just dumping fuel into the water supply and into our grounds. It's not right. And something other than a $3 million fine should be done. It's time to start holding these companies responsible. If they cannot responsibly move it through pipelines, and it's time to start hiring truckers, and it's time to start freighting it on trains. That is where we're at as a society today. We have the infrastructure for that. This is ridiculous to want to shoot pipelines that they're not maintaining. I have nothing wrong with pipelines if it's properly maintained. But let me tell you, coming from industrial maintenance background, these companies, they don't care about the maintenance aspect until it becomes an actual problem. You've heard preventive maintenance, and then you've heard corrective maintenance. Well, sometimes preventative maintenance is cheaper, unless you're talking something like a pipeline or a transfer line, because you have to shut it down, you have to come up with a problem, you have to replace the problem, and that can take time. In the meantime, they're going, okay, so we're losing an estimated however much through a crack, and they just keep pumping it until finally it bursts. And that's what happens. So then they'll shut down for a few days, weld a new PCM, pay a $3 million fine off the hundreds of billions they've already transferred, and just kick the problem back up. So we need to make sure that our government is holding those companies responsible. We as a community need to hold them responsible. If they can't move that fuel oil through pipelines responsibly, then they don't need to be moving it through pipelines, folks. Back here a while back, everyone was talking about the Keystone Pipeline and all that. Why is it not going through and all this other stuff? Well, the reason it's not being allowed to go through, folks, you need to understand this and get it through your head. They want to take the pipeline and run it through Native American territory. They cannot do that. The federal government has screwed over the Native Americans enough. They need to cut that crap out. They don't want it in their territory because it's people like these buttholes who just dump 50,000 gallons in a river source and into the ground over in Wyoming. They don't care. And the Native American tribes do not want that to happen to their land. And I fully respect that. They can find a way to reroute it. But the fact is, if they cannot move that oil through pipelines responsibly, then it's time to start moving it with trucks and to start moving it with freaking rail cars again, guys. That's just what it comes down to. You might not agree with it. I don't care. I don't consider myself far left or far right or anything or anything in between. When I look at a problem and I see that there are issues that are contaminating our already dwindling water sources in our country, then it's time we have to rethink what the heck we're doing. You can still move fuel with freight. It can be done. This stuff about the prices will go up and all that. The prices are going up anyway, and nothing is the direct result of that is your leadership, faulty leadership, guys. That's what it comes down to. But not to get on here and harp too much on that issue, but I just think I mean, I like a nice clean glass of water like everybody else. Just like an animal walking through nature wants to be able to walk from point A to point B without getting covered up with oil. How much of our wildlife suffered during this? They haven't released those reports. They're not going to release those reports because life is cheap. We know life is cheap. Do you really think they care about the wildlife when they want to kill unborn American babies by the hundreds of thousands? They don't care. They never will care. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They don't care about our land as long as they're getting their cut of the pie, as long as they're getting some profit off of it. That's all they care about. So, what can we do as a society to help? Well, I think the best thing that we can do is, when it comes to these types of pipeline situations, find out where this company's fuel is going and boycott it. Don't go there. Go somewhere else. That's what I typically do. I'm not going to get out in the street with a sign and raise Cain and act like a complete moron like these other people. If you want to enact a change, you have to hit companies in the pocketbook. If you don't hit the wallet, they're not going to change. So, something to think about, guys. Everyone have a wonderful day.